At first light, the ocean appears peaceful, but beneath its surface, the Earth is still alive. For thousands of kilometers, the sea hides a landscape no human eye can see from above. These islands are only the visible peaks of mountains born from fire. Below every wave lies stone shaped by ancient eruptions. The descent begins where sunlight meets the hidden foundations of the planet. Even here, life has learned to flourish on the bones of old volcanoes. What looks like ordinary sand is the ash of firestorms long forgotten. The first layers of this underwater world are painted in light and color. Above the volcanic slopes, entire communities move like a single living current. For some travelers, these volcanic islands are resting places on a journey across oceans. Where stone once burned, gardens of life now rise from the seabed. Some caves beneath the sea were once rivers of molten rock. Inside these ancient tunnels, darkness begins to take hold. Above us, the world of air and sunlight still feels close. But every meter downward carries us farther from the familiar. Here, the reef ends, and the true mountain begins. The cliffs reveal layer after layer of eruptions written into stone. Even the smallest creatures find shelter in the fractures left by fire. Across the slopes, silent wings drift over an ancient volcanic world. Predators patrol these slopes, guided by currents older than memory. Color remains, but the brightness of the upper ocean is beginning to fade. The deeper we go, the fewer creatures dare to follow. The mountain's surface is broken by wounds that lead toward its hidden heart. In places, the earth still breathes through narrow cracks in the seabed. For a moment, the deep is crossed by a giant from the sunlit sea. Soon, even the last schools of reef fish turn back toward the light. Below this point, color begins to surrender to shadow. In the dimming water, every pattern becomes a signal of survival. The slopes are becoming canyons, and the canyons are becoming gateways. This frozen landscape was once a river of fire beneath the sea. When lava met the ocean, it cooled into shapes like stone pillows. The last traveler from the surface disappears above us. In the twilight zone, sight becomes weaker and instinct becomes stronger. The mountain is fractured from within, carrying heat far beneath its surface. Ahead lies a ravine, descending into a world the sun can no longer reach. Every turn now feels like a step farther into another planet. Here, the first lights of the deep begin to appear. Without sunlight, Some creatures carry their own fragile glow. On every ledge, life adapts to a world of cold currents and darkness. The ocean floor is no longer a reef. It is a frontier. In the darkness, touch and vibration can matter more than sight. Color has not vanished here. It has simply learned to live without the sun. In the shelter of the rock, even small fish find safety from the open dark. And then, the water begins to change. Heat from deep inside the earth is rising toward the ocean floor. The light above is fading, but a different source of energy waits below. Some creatures answer the darkness with lights of their own. Beyond the ridge, something is breathing in the dark. We are approaching the boundary between an old volcano and a living one. The seabed itself points toward the source of the heat. Above us is the world we know. Below is the world we came to find. Even here, where heat and pressure meet, life is already waiting. The valley ahead is quiet, but nothing here is truly still. Beneath this plateau, molten rock is never far away. The ocean is growing darker, and the mountain is growing warmer. Minerals carried from the Earth's interior are building a new landscape. Somewhere beyond this darkness, the ocean floor is opening. The sun is behind us now. From here, another kind of world begins.
Below these silent mountains, fire is waiting beneath the sea.
The surface is now far above us, and the ocean is beginning to reveal its deeper face. Every meter downward takes us farther from the world shaped by the sun. The bright gardens of the reef are slowly giving way to a quieter kingdom. Here, eyes grow larger, searching for every trace of light. In the fading blue, some creatures move like ghosts through the silence. Above us, daylight is becoming a memory. Most life turns back here. Only the adapted continue downward.
The mountain beneath us was built one eruption at a time.
Even in the twilight, the volcanic slopes still carry flashes of color. On the stone left by ancient fire, life clings to every shelter it can find. In this dim world, bold colors can still survive where predators cannot easily see them. Here, movement must be silent, and survival depends on remaining unseen. Some fish wear mirrors of silver, blending into the glow that still reaches this depth. Every fracture tells the story of pressure, heat, and stone torn apart from within. On the seabed, even the smallest current can carry a meal. Fragile structures rise from the volcanic stone, becoming homes in the open deep. Every antenna tests the water, reading a landscape invisible to human senses. The deeper ocean is not empty. It is simply more carefully inhabited. The first signs of heat are appearing beneath the rock, where warmth leaks into the water. Life gathers at the edge of possibility. This mountain does not end at the seafloor. It continues into darkness for miles. Not every scar beneath the ocean is made by time. Some are made in a single violent moment. The ruins of old eruptions have become shelters for a new generation of life. In the deep, overhangs are more than stone. They are refuge. Even soft-bodied life can take root in the shadow of a volcano. In the ocean's twilight, living light begins to replace the sun. Tiny lamps drift through the blue, guiding lives built for darkness. Some hunters in the deep are almost invisible until their own light gives them away. From far above, the ocean sends a slow rain of life into the depths. The mountain is changing. Stone, water, and heat are beginning to meet. This small survivor lives where the chemistry of the seabed is already changing. The seabed is never truly motionless. The ocean is always reshaping what fire once made. At the edge of the warmth, the first foundations of another ecosystem are already forming. Far below, heat is pushing upward through the skin of the planet. Life does not need perfect conditions. It only needs a narrow place where it can endure. The walls rise behind us like the ruins of a buried world. Beyond these pillars, the mountain drops into a deeper silence. Among the rocks, some creatures vanish almost as quickly as they appear. In the deepening dark, every movement is measured. The old volcano bears the marks of forces that never fully disappeared. These frozen rivers of lava are the remains of eruptions no living creature witnessed. What was once molten and violent has become a pathway for quiet life. Some tunnels beneath the sea still remember the flow of liquid rock. Minerals left behind by heat now shine like traces of a vanished fire. The water itself is carrying a message from the planet's interior. Where heat leaks from the rock, small communities begin to gather. In the darkness, the mountain is still dressed in color. The deep ocean grows its own fragile forests from volcanic stone. On the ground beneath the blue, life advances one quiet step at a time. The colors of iron and sulfur mark a place where the mountain is still alive. Ahead, the canyon leads deeper into the volcano's hidden territory. Even the local residents know where the familiar world begins to end. The darkness is no longer empty. It is watching, moving, and waiting. The sun is almost gone now,
But below the darkness, another force is beginning to glow. The closer we come, the clearer the signs become. Heat is rising from below. Layer by layer, the seafloor records a history written in fire. At the center of this hidden valley lies one of Earth's greatest engines of creation. Beneath the Pacific, mountains rise where the planet's crust is slowly pulling apart. This is a wound in the seafloor, a place where the Earth is constantly rebuilding itself. Every ridge is a frozen chapter from an eruption long ago. When molten rock met cold water, it hardened into these strange, rounded forms. Even the hardest stone is slowly opened by heat, pressure, and time. The seafloor here is not still. It is slowly tearing apart beneath the ocean. Minerals rising from below paint the rock with the colors of an invisible fire. The ruins of old lava flows have become shelter for creatures built for the deep. On the ridge, life finds color, even where sunlight can barely reach. Inside the fractures, the mountain becomes a maze of stone and shadow. For the smallest residents, every crack in the rock is a landscape of its own. Old currents sweep across the ridge, bringing food to gardens rooted in volcanic stone. Some of these fractures reach deep enough to carry heat from the planet's interior. The Earth is breathing through the seabed. The mountain rises in layers, each one born from a different pulse of fire. Below these plates, unseen forces are still pressing upward. This valley was not carved by rivers. It was torn open by the movement of the earth itself. Even in the deep, the mountain is always changing, grain by grain. In this maze of lava, survival belongs to those who can disappear into stone. The ridge continues far beyond what any eye can see. Where the rock is newest, the chemistry of the ocean changes first. Before larger life arrives, invisible communities begin transforming the rock. On older stone, life has had time to build whole communities. But in the newest parts of the ridge, the seabed is far less settled. These broken stones are evidence of a landscape still under stress. The first movement is almost too small to notice, but the animals feel it. Deep below the ocean floor, the mountain is beginning to stir. For the creatures of the ridge, even a slight tremor can be a warning. The rock is opening in more places now, releasing heat into the sea. Iron, sulfur, and stone reveal the chemistry rising from deep within the earth. Small animals are drawn to the places where the mountain feeds the sea. Above the fractures, drifting lights move through a valley built by fire. The mountain's broken edges provide refuge from the open darkness. The stone carries the memory of every eruption that built this ridge. Where the rock has been still for long enough, color returns in abundance. But farther down, the ridge becomes young again, raw, dark, and unstable. Here, the first pioneers of life are only beginning to arrive. Even the youngest volcanic ground is never completely empty for long. The valley is changing again. This time, the signs are harder to ignore. A tremor travels through the stone, shaking loose the mountain's surface. The deep has its own alarms, heard through vibration rather than sound. The crack is opening, slowly, but with the power of a planet behind it. Here, ancient life and new fire exist side by side. The chemistry of the mountain creates a landscape painted in colors no sunlight ever made. At the bottom of the valley, the water itself begins to glow with movement. Where heat and minerals rise, a new food web begins at the smallest scale. Ahead stands a formation unlike the rest of the ridge. It is not yet a vent, but the Earth is preparing something larger here. With every passing moment, minerals begin to build new structures from the seafloor. Even in this restless place, life continues to drift through the darkness. Each creature knows its limit, staying close enough to benefit, but far enough to survive. Beneath the stone, molten rock is closer than ever. This is the frontier where new seafloor is born. Around us, the past remains. Ahead of us, the next eruption is taking shape. The water is warming, and the smallest residents are the first to respond. The ridge is awake now. The signs are gathering in one place. A hidden pressure is building beneath the floor of the ocean. Here, life clings to the remains of old eruptions, while the next chapter of fire waits below. In the darkness below, the mountain is beginning to move. At the center of the valley, the mountain is no longer silent. The first tremors are small, but beneath the ocean, even small movements carry great meaning. Far below, the crust is stretching, and the stone above is beginning to answer. The animals sense the change before the mountain reveals its power. Heat is forcing its way upward through the skin of the seafloor. Iron, sulfur, and heat are painting the volcano from within. With every bubble, pressure escapes from a world hidden beneath the rock. For creatures without shelter, the changing mountain offers only one choice: disappear. The crack is widening, opening a path from the deep interior of the earth. The water itself is changing, shaped by heat rising from below. Even the slowest creatures know when the ground beneath them has changed.
The first residents of the valley begin to leave.
The walls of the rift are beginning to shed the weight of old eruptions. New pathways are opening in the stone, bringing minerals into the sea. Beneath the cooled surface, molten rock is rising closer to the ocean floor.
The currents are becoming stronger and no longer predictable.
The seafloor is exhaling through its smallest openings. The growing haze is a warning that the mountain is heating the ocean around it. Above the fire, fragile life continues to drift through the dark. The life built upon old lava now feels the pulse of new fire below.
The pressure is no longer hidden. It is forcing the rock to yield.
A river of heat is rising through the cold ocean.
Even the creatures that cannot flee can feel the changing water. Across the valley, the mountain is opening in more than one place.
The smallest stones are the first to fall when a volcano begins to shift.
Even the safest shelters can become dangerous when the mountain wakes beneath them. Every new current carries minerals that can build life or reshape the seabed entirely. The familiar currents have become unstable, scattering the last fish from the rift.
As the mountain grows restless, the valley begins to empty.
The floor itself is beginning to rise.
Deep beneath the crust, liquid rock is moving toward the surface. The valley is disappearing behind a cloud, born from the Earth's heat. For the creatures that remain, every second becomes a test of balance. The ancient rock is pulling apart, making room for something new to rise. This time, the tremor travels through the entire valley. The crust is thinning, and the fire below is pressing harder.
The boundary between cold ocean and volcanic heat is growing thinner.
The mountain is covering its own movements beneath a veil of minerals. At the center of the basin, a new opening is forming.
Pressure is escaping faster now, carrying fragments of the mountain with it.
The volcano is no longer breathing through one crack alone.
The chemistry of the volcano is turning the dark seafloor into a living mosaic.
The mountain is shedding its old surface as new pressure builds beneath it. In the shelter of the stone, the survivors wait for the mountain's next decision. One fracture becomes many, spreading the pressure across the seafloor. The ocean carries glowing traces of the fire still hidden below. The warm currents are spreading outward, reaching places that once seemed safe. The deeper we go, the more the darkness belongs to the volcano. Now even the smallest residents are retreating from the center of the rift. The floor rises again, pushed upward by molten rock beneath it. The first bursts of mineral-rich water signal a much greater release to come. A pulse moves through the water, carrying the force of the mountain in every direction. The surface is breaking, but the fire has not yet reached the sea. The opening is breathing light now, brighter with every pulse. The mountain is reshaping the floor of the ocean before our eyes. The whole valley is moving now. The moment of release is near. Beneath this thin layer of stone, the fire is only moments from freedom. The valley has fallen quiet, as if the ocean itself is waiting. Then, beneath the sea, the volcano prepares to awaken.
For centuries, the fire remained hidden beneath stone. Now, the seafloor can no longer contain it.
The crust bends under pressure, holding back a force born deep within the earth. At the boundary between rock and ocean, the pressure is finally breaking through. The entire valley feels the pulse of the rising magma. For the smallest survivors, the warning comes through heat, vibration, and changing water. The seafloor opens like a doorway into the planet's molten interior. At last, fire meets the ocean floor.
The lava moves slowly, but it carries enough heat to remake the landscape around it.
Cold seawater cools the surface, but the fire beneath continues to advance.
Each burst of lava cools into a rounded shell, creating new stone in an instant.
The volcano is building a new seabed, one molten shape at a time. Beyond the fire, the old volcanic world begins to feel the heat of a new one. For those that cannot travel far, survival lies in finding the right shelter before the heat arrives. The ocean hardens the lava's outer skin, trapping a river of fire below. Where the lava passes, the old seafloor disappears beneath a new layer of stone. For a brief moment, the deepest ocean glows with the color of fire.
New rock expands from the crack, cooled by the sea before it can flow far. The eruption is hidden beneath clouds of minerals, but its heat reaches far beyond the crack.
Even communities rooted in ancient stone must respond when new fire rises nearby. The volcano is no longer opening through one wound. Fire is spreading across the valley floor. Like rivers of light, the lava follows every weakness in the seafloor. Under cold seawater, molten rock becomes black glass before it becomes part of the mountain. At the edge of danger, some small creatures find temporary refuge in cooler stone.
The newest eruption crosses the remains of eruptions that came before it.
The ocean fills with minerals released from the Earth's interior. With every pulse, the volcano adds another layer to the future seafloor. For the first time in ages, this hidden valley shines with the force that built it.
Inside ancient tunnels,
A few survivors wait as the new lava reshapes the world outside.
Slowly and relentlessly, the flow seeks the lowest ground.
The sea cools the surface almost instantly, turning liquid fire into solid ground.
A new volcanic landscape is forming beneath the waves, shaped in silence and darkness. Above the eruption, delicate life drifts through water transformed by fire. Some creatures return quickly, drawn to the new chemistry emerging from the seafloor. The eruption is changing the valley floor, but it is also laying the foundation for future life. Each new burst is brief, but together they build mountains beneath the sea. The newest rock is still warm, but already the ocean begins to claim it. Gravity carries the fire downhill, filling the deepest hollows of the rift. From fire and seawater, new minerals begin to settle across the newborn rock. The eruption divides and spreads, searching for every path through the fractured seafloor.
At the very edge of the eruption, life waits for the heat to pass.
Beyond the danger zone, the first observers begin to return.
The fire is still moving, but its brightest pulse is beginning to slow.
Far from the crack, old life is lit by a fire it cannot see.
What was liquid fire only moments ago is already becoming permanent stone.
In one valley, the ocean holds both destruction and renewal at the same time. As the haze clears, a new landscape emerges from the darkness.
The first chemical traces of a future ecosystem are already appearing on the newborn stone.
The ridge has grown. A new piece of earth now exists beneath the sea.
The first survivors begin to test the altered world around them.
Life returns first to the borders, where the chemistry is rich, but the heat can still be survived. Above the newborn seafloor, the drifting lights of the deep continue their ancient journey.
The volcano has rewritten the valley floor, leaving behind a landscape built from fire and water.
The lava has cooled on top, but the mountain continues to breathe beneath it. As the lava settles, another force takes over. Hot water carrying the minerals of the deep. Beyond the fresh lava, the ocean is preparing a different kind of volcanic world. The fire has changed the valley, but its greatest creation may still be ahead. From the volcano's fire, a new world is about to rise beneath the ocean. The brightest fire is fading, but the volcano has not gone quiet. Even as the lava hardens, heat finds new ways to escape through the stone. As temperatures fall, the first small explorers step onto the newborn ground. The first inhabitants do not arrive at the center of the fire, but at its cooling edges. Above the new land, the drifting life of the deep continues its silent passage. The first chemical films are settling across the rock, preparing it for a new community. The valley now holds two worlds, ancient slopes of life and new ground still warm from fire. In the cold ocean,
Even the brightest fire becomes dark stone.
From their shelters, the survivors begin to return and read the altered landscape.
The larger fish return only when the currents become predictable once more.
Beneath the fresh black landscape, hidden channels still carry heat through the mountain. The lava's heat now begins a quieter process, building mineral structures in the darkness. Where the water carries minerals but no longer burns, life begins to gather in greater numbers.
Beyond the lava field, the mountain is preparing another kind of eruption. The fire has built the ground. Now hot water will begin to shape the world above it.
The first living films appear where mineral-rich water touches the new stone.
What began as fire has become a silent landscape beneath the waves.
The colors of the next ecosystem are beginning to emerge from the black volcanic stone. Life from the old slopes watches as the chemistry of the valley changes once more. On the youngest rock, the first explorers move carefully across a world that did not exist yesterday. Ahead lies the next transformation, a place where hot water will rise from the heart of the mountain. The eruption has built new ground and opened the pathways for an unseen world to form. The animals are gathering near the border of a place too hot for most life to enter.
Beyond the river of lava, a darker chimney is beginning to breathe beneath the sea. From the cooling river of fire, the gates of the deep are beginning to open. The eruption has slowed, but beneath the hardened surface, rivers of fire are still moving. The ocean cools the skin of the lava, but deep beneath it, the molten flow continues forward. Hidden beneath black stone, the lava follows the lowest paths across the rift floor. Like a river without daylight, molten rock divides into channels across the ocean floor. Each contact with the sea creates a shell of black glass around the fire. The lava does not rush far in this cold pressure. It grows outward, building rounded stones from within. One by one, these rounded forms join together, extending the mountain beneath the sea. Gravity carries the molten rock downhill, filling every hollow in its path. The heat draws minerals from the rock, carrying them upward into the cold sea. New lava crosses ground shaped by older eruptions, burying one volcanic history beneath another. The surface hardens in patterns, sealing the moving fire beneath it. Every flow adds height to the ridge, slowly lifting new ground from the abyss. At the edge of the flow, even the sediment is displaced by the arrival of new stone. The river of lava closes old wounds in the seafloor, while creating new ones beneath its surface. The water above the flow trembles with heat, revealing the hidden river below. Beyond the fire, old communities still hold to the rocky walls of the valley. At the border between danger and opportunity, the first scavengers begin to gather again. The changed water brings risk, but it also carries the first resources of a new habitat. Inside ancient lava tunnels, some survivors wait until the outside world becomes safe again. The larger animals watch from a distance, waiting for the currents to settle. As the outer layer hardens, the moving lava begins to carve tunnels beneath itself. Within these tunnels, lava can travel unseen beneath a roof of newly made stone. Through tiny openings in the crust, the hidden river still shows its light. Not every roof can hold. When one collapses, the fire briefly returns to open water. The volcano is not simply flowing. It is assembling an entire landscape beneath the ocean. The river divides into smaller streams, reaching farther across the fractured floor. The moving lava feeds the water with minerals that will shape the next stage of life here. As the fire quiets, its movement remains written across the stone in frozen waves. Flow by flow, the mountain levels its own valleys and raises new terraces from the abyss. The lava advances not with speed, but with relentless weight and heat. Beneath the hardened shell, the river continues to press forward, folding the surface like cloth. Every eruption leaves behind loose fragments that will become the sediment of future seafloors. Beyond the newborn lava field, the volcano reveals another way it speaks to the sea. Here, heat no longer flows as lava. It rises through water, carrying the hidden chemistry of the earth. At last, the first chimney appears, a tower built by heat, minerals, and time. It looks like smoke, but this dark cloud is water loaded with minerals from deep inside the planet. Every layer of this chimney was built as hot water met the freezing ocean around it. One chimney becomes many, forming a hidden city on the floor of the ocean. From above, the vent field is a landscape of fire-fed towers rising from a newly born world. Not every vent releases darkness. Some build pale towers from minerals carried in hot water. Here, different minerals create a second kind of chimney, softer in color but no less alive. At the edge of each plume, two worlds collide, scorching mineral water and the cold, dark ocean. Before forests, reefs, or animals, there are these invisible builders, microbes feeding on the chemistry of the deep. Where sunlight cannot reach, life begins with energy drawn from the earth itself. At the safe edge of the heat, shrimp gather in numbers rarely seen elsewhere in the deep sea. Every movement is guided by temperature, current, and the chemical signals carried through the water. In the shadows of the chimneys, color returns in unexpected forms. Some creatures vanish against the pale minerals, perfectly shaped for a world of steam and stone. The vent field is not empty wilderness. It is a city built around heat. Between the towers, the water changes from second to second, creating small worlds only centimeters apart. The chimney keeps growing as minerals fall out of the superheated water and harden into stone. The chimney rises like a monument, built grain by grain from the minerals of the earth. Around the outer edge of the heat, shellfish form dense living clusters on the volcanic stone. The shells anchor themselves where the chemistry is rich enough to support a hidden food web. What began with heat and microbes has become a crowded community in the darkness. Across this volcanic plain, every zone of temperature creates a different neighborhood of life. At this boundary, the smallest feeders turn chemical energy into the first links of a larger food chain. In the moving water, countless small creatures feed, drift, and search for the narrowest zones of survival. In one small corner of the deep, the colors of fire, mineral, and life meet without sunlight. Above the vents, mineral particles settle back onto the seabed, constantly reshaping the world below. Every grain that falls becomes part of a new surface for life to claim. For these animals, survival depends on staying close to the heat, but never too close. In the right current, even a single crack can support an entire gathering of life. At the hottest core of the field, almost nothing can remain for long. Just beyond the extreme heat, the landscape changes completely. A few meters can mean the difference between emptiness and abundance. Beyond the vents, the older volcanic slopes remain a separate world, cooler, calmer, and filled with color. Even above the harshest vents, delicate life continues to drift through the darkness. The chimneys send their mineral clouds upward into a darkness alive with drifting lights. The vent field supports a crowded community, each species finding its own narrow place in the changing water. On the vent's edge, even the shellfish depend on the invisible chemistry flowing through the water. Not every chimney stays alive. When the heat shifts, towers fall silent and become ruins for other creatures. The remains of old vents become shelters, preserving the memory of water that once burned through them. Even after the plume is gone, the minerals left behind continue to shape the habitat. Elsewhere, new openings appear as the mountain redirects its heat through fresh cracks. Side by side, different vents reveal different paths taken by the same hidden heat. Larger animals remain at the edges, where the water is stable enough to enter, but rich enough to feed on what gathers here. The life of the vents spreads outward from the chimneys, following every warm seam in the rock. From a distance, the vent field looks like a living map of heat, mineral, and survival. This is the beginning of a food chain without sunlight, a world powered by chemistry instead of day. One tower can support a whole community as long as the heat beneath it continues to flow. Where the conditions are right, thousands of small lives can gather around a single source of warmth. Above the chimneys, the mineral clouds dissolve into the vast darkness of the ocean. From above, the chimneys seem small, but in the deep, they are the centers of entire worlds. Beyond the old towers, new activity is creating a brighter and stranger landscape. In this darkness, the volcano has created not a wasteland, but a living kingdom of mineral and heat. The vent field is still growing, building new towers from every pulse of hot mineral water. Around the chimneys, life organizes itself into layers, each one adapted to a different degree of heat and chemistry. The chimneys are only the gateway. Beyond them lies a city of mineral, color, and life without the sun. Across a few meters of stone, the ocean changes from coral garden to chemical frontier. Minerals settle in layers, turning the walls of the city into living terraces. Black, red, white, gold. Each color reveals a different chapter in the life of the vent field. The city is full of arches, bridges, and chambers, formed not by hands, but by chemistry and time. At every warm seam, minerals build the ground, while life builds upon it. When a tower goes quiet, it does not become empty. It becomes a new kind of home. The oldest parts of the city are ruins, but they remain alive in ways the active chimneys are not. Elsewhere, a younger tower is still growing, fed by water hotter and richer than its neighbors. The youngest towers are the most restless, pushing their mineral clouds high into the darkness. Beneath the plume, the shrimp create a living line at the edge of what their bodies can endure. The floor of the city is a mosaic, where every mineral creates a new pattern of survival. Not all life here moves quickly. Some creatures cross the mineral plains one patient step at a time. Some districts of the city glow pale in the darkness, built by gentler springs beneath the seafloor. In the water between stone and plume, countless tiny lives drift through a constantly changing world. In the shellfish beds, the city becomes crowded, layered with food, shelter, and competition. At the center of the vent field, every species occupies a small territory shaped by heat and chemistry. From its crowded base to its dark crown, each chimney is a complete world in miniature. Above the mineral city, the darkness fills with lights made not by the sun, but by life itself. Even where mineral clouds rise from the earth, delicate drifting lights continue their silent journey. The city is never finished. Every pulse of hot water adds another color, another wall, another future shelter. As new mineral ground appears, the first residents arrive almost immediately. Beyond the towers, another basin waits, where the chemistry of the deep becomes even more intense. The highest chimneys are only one part of this world. Beneath them lie quieter foundations of life. Here, in the quietest corners of the city, the foundation of life is almost invisible. At the very edge of the warmth, thousands of small lives depend on a source no wider than a hand. Across the ocean floor, the city is only one chapter in a far larger story of fire and survival. Beyond the first chimneys lies a city unlike any built on land. A city shaped by minerals, pressure, and heat. Here, every current leaves behind a different color, and every color marks a different kind of life. And the towers rise from the seafloor like monuments, built one mineral layer at a time. What appears black from afar is a complex world of metal-rich stone, sharp crystals, and hidden shelter. Not every tower is dark. Some rise pale and bright from minerals carried in gentler flows. In this city, even the water carries color, traces of the rock from which it came. Golden minerals mark places where the chemistry of the volcano reaches the surface in a different form. Iron stains the stone red, painting the seafloor with colors born far beneath the crust. Each pulse of hot water leaves behind another thin layer, slowly building a new structure from the sea itself. This is not a barren abyss. It is an underwater skyline built from the hidden chemistry of the planet. Between the towers, the lava fields become pathways for the creatures of the vents. Each shrimp follows a narrow band of temperature, staying close enough to feed, but far enough to survive. On the lighter towers, bright orange crustaceans turn the deep into a world of unexpected color. At the city's outer districts, dense shellfish beds turn mineral-rich water into living shelter. Every few centimeters, a new boundary appears, another neighborhood in this strange volcanic city. For creatures here, survival is a matter of reading invisible borders in the water. Above the crowded floor, dark mineral clouds rise like storm columns in a sky without sunlight. Every plume carries a cloud of minerals outward, feeding the endless transformation of the vent field. The towers reshape the currents, creating sheltered corners where life can take hold. Even the ruins become architecture, turning fallen towers into shelter for the next generation. Not every tower survives. When a chimney falls, the city simply finds another use for the ruins. Where hot water seeps rather than erupts, quiet carpets of life spread across the stone. At this scale, the deep ocean's greatest builders are almost invisible. This basin is a refuge where several worlds overlap: warm seep, cold water, mineral stone, and living communities. Across the terraces, life organizes itself around the flow of warmth, like a map drawn by the earth. Every mineral surface becomes a route, a feeding ground, or a safe place to pause between currents. Larger visitors remain at the edge of the city, where the water is safer but still rich with drifting food. Beyond the vent city, older slopes hold a cooler kingdom of corals, sponges, and drifting fish. Far from the sun, life here begins with the energy rising from the earth below. These gentle flows carry heat, minerals, and chemical energy into a world without daylight. What looks like a simple film of color is the foundation of an entire hidden ecosystem. Here, microbes turn the chemistry of the deep into food, without a single ray of sunlight. Every crack becomes a small oasis, powered by the heat trapped beneath the stone. At the boundary of heat and cold, the smallest animals search for the richest currents. The shrimp know exactly where the water is warm enough to feed, but cool enough to survive. The volcanic floor is becoming a map of invisible energy, painted in white, gold, and red. In this moving water, chemical energy flows like sunlight through a forest canopy. The towering chimneys may command attention, but these quiet fields keep the deeper city alive. The first producers of this world are almost invisible, yet every larger creature depends on them. Where the lava once burned, a new living skin is now spreading over the rock. For every animal here, a few centimeters can mean the difference between safety and danger. Around the microbial fields, shellfish and crustaceans form the first crowded neighborhoods of the deep. At the edges of the seep, shellfish draw nourishment from water transformed by the volcano. The farther the water travels from the heat, the more the community changes. Across a single rocky ledge, the water changes from hostile heat to a thriving borderland. Even the smallest drifters find food in this chemical landscape. Above the seafloor, the water itself becomes a moving layer of life. Without sunlight, the basin still shines with the colors of mineral life. The crustaceans feed where the microbial layers are thickest, turning invisible chemistry into visible movement. A narrow seam in the rock can support hundreds of lives, all gathered around the same source of energy. The microbes spread wherever the chemical flow is strong enough to sustain them. Minerals fall like dust across the living surface, constantly reshaping the world beneath. The gentle channels are the roads of this hidden ecosystem, carrying heat and food across the volcanic plain. Some animals wear the colors of the seep itself, disappearing into the stone and mineral haze. From one crack to the next, the seafloor becomes a network of small chemical worlds. The ecosystem is built in layers, from microbes on the rock to animals gathering above them. Even the quietest travelers find a route across this chemical frontier. The quiet seep fields are connected to the great chimneys by the same hidden volcanic heart. Above the seeps, a second layer of life drifts through the mineral clouds. Larger fish stay at the boundary, feeding on the life that rises from the chemical world below. The food web expands outward, carrying the energy of the vents into the darker water beyond. At the edge of the vents, the chemical world blends into older communities shaped by cold currents. Only a short distance away, the volcanic ecosystem becomes a reef of entirely different colors and rhythms. At the smallest scale, life and mineral grow together, each shaping the other. The extremophile shrimp trace the edges of the living mats, following the most productive currents through the field. Where a new crack opens, the first pioneers arrive almost immediately. Before the larger animals gather, the microscopic foundation must be built. Side by side, the seafloor shows two stages of life, a mature community and the beginning of another. The deep seafloor is dotted with thousands of small sources of energy, each one feeding its own tiny community. The secret of survival is balance, close to the energy, never too close to the heat. Different creatures share the same narrow safe zone, each adapted to the same volcanic gift. The quiet basin may seem small, but it is one of the true engines of life in this volcanic realm. The shellfish beds hold the chemical energy of the vents long after the water leaves the cracks below. Other creatures arrive to feed on fragments, particles, and life drifting from the seep fields. The energy from the rock now moves upward, reaching animals that never touch the warm stone itself. In the darkness above, the vent's chemical energy joins a wider ocean world of drifting light. Everything here begins with this living surface, the quiet source beneath the grandest chimneys. In total darkness, an entire food web is powered not by the sky, but by the planet beneath it. These microbial layers are the unseen gardens of the deep, growing without sunlight and without leaves. The living mats follow the heat through every curve of the volcanic stone. From the hottest center to the cold outer edge, every layer of life follows a precise, invisible boundary. The animals of the seep do not conquer this landscape. They learn to blend into it. Each new volcanic surface offers another chance for life to begin again from the smallest scale. Ahead, the microbial gardens grow denser, spreading across the rock in broad living fields. To understand this world, we must look closer, into the living carpets that make all larger life possible. From the smallest microbes to the tallest chimneys, every life here is connected by the heat beneath the ocean floor. In the next hidden layer of this world, the smallest living builders will reveal their remarkable work. In the deepest darkness, the invisible architects of the ocean are building a world from stone, heat, and chemistry. Beneath the great chimneys, the true foundation of this world lies spread across the rock like a living carpet. What seems still from a distance is alive with movement at every scale. Different currents create different colors, each one revealing a subtle change in heat and chemistry. The flow never stops. It brings the chemical fuel that keeps these living fields alive. Across the volcanic terrace, microbial gardens spread farther than any single animal could travel in a day. The cleaner shrimp feed at the border, sensing exactly where warmth becomes too dangerous. For tiny drifters and crawlers, these soft mineral gardens are forests, valleys, and feeding grounds. Where a new crack opens, the first living layer can appear before larger animals arrive. The microbes cling to the rock, where heat, gases, and minerals meet the cold ocean. A single volcanic plain becomes a chain of oases, each powered by a different pulse from below.
At every boundary, the chemistry changes, and with it, the community of life.
The shellfish beds depend on the same hidden chemical energy that feeds the microbial fields beside them.
On this young terrain, life follows the fractures like ink spreading through stone.
The smallest grazers turn these invisible chemical reactions into visible life and motion. Even the ruins of old vents become part of the microbial landscape, offering shelter above a living floor. The color of each mat is written by the minerals carried in the water beneath it. Some animals wear the colors of the living mats, blending perfectly into the world that feeds them. The warm channels are the arteries of the vent field, carrying energy across the youngest rock. Above the bacterial surface, microscopic animals gather where the chemical food is richest. The deep has no dawn or dusk, yet these living terraces glow with their own quiet color. Like rings around a spring, each color marks a different zone of heat, mineral, and life. The line between survival and danger is invisible, but every shrimp follows it exactly. Across the microbial meadows, even the slowest animals find a path to food.
The food web is arranged in layers, each species occupying the narrow zone it can endure.
Together, these living patches form a network stretching across the volcanic valley. Wherever the water carries the right chemistry, the microbial fields follow. On the pale ridges, orange crustaceans stand out like sparks against the darkness. Even beneath the stone, warm currents create hidden gardens where small life can gather. From above, the microbial fields look like a patchwork map drawn across the volcano's skin. The energy of the mats does not stay on the floor. It rises into the moving water above. Larger animals benefit from this hidden food source without ever touching the heat below. The food web expands outward, carrying the volcano's energy into darker waters beyond the vent field. Only meters apart, the chemical gardens of the vents meet the colorful reefs of colder water. The volcano does not create one world. It creates many worlds, packed tightly together across the same ridge. At the smallest scale, mineral and life become inseparable, each changing the other over time. New volcanic cracks become new opportunities, waiting for the first living films to take hold. The first stage is almost silent, a film, a current, and the earliest signs of a new community. In one frame, the volcano reveals the full cycle: bare stone, first microbes, and a thriving community. And as the microbial fields mature, the simple surface becomes a crowded and ordered living city. Every creature here has learned to read the smallest changes in temperature and chemical flow. These soft, pale gardens connect the newest lava with the oldest volcanic slopes across the valley. The deeper we travel into the field, the more concentrated the hidden energy becomes. Even in a stronger current, the living mat creates small pockets of shelter for creatures too small to resist the flow. The richest microbial mounds draw the greatest crowds, turning one small source into a bustling gathering place. In the quietest basins, the microbial fields become broad living plains beneath the sea. When the waters mix, minerals paint moving patterns across the living surface. At the cool edge of the meadow, shellfish and crustaceans build the next layer of the vent community. The energy of the mats has risen through the food web, reaching fish that patrol the cooler waters above. From the living floor to the drifting lights above, the deep ocean is connected by currents of energy and life. What began as a crack in dark stone has become a complete world, powered by chemistry instead of light. The process never ends. New surfaces are always waiting to be claimed by the first living builders. As the microbial layers grow thicker, larger residents arrive to feed at the edge of the new garden. Across the seafloor, every seep and chimney is connected by the same ancient engine beneath the crust. Ahead, one of the richest microbial fields draws a crowd of animals from across the vent valley. At this living mound, countless small bodies feed on a source that never sees the sun. The microbial gardens have become a vast landscape of their own, supporting life in every direction. Seen from above, the microbial fields are the bright heart of a volcanic world built around heat and chemistry. Every new opening begins the cycle again: heat, minerals, microbes, and life. Beyond these living carpets, the vent field holds another thriving community, drawn to the warmth below. Beyond the microbial gardens, another community gathers wherever the warmth of the earth reaches the sea. From above, the shrimp gather like a moving river of pale bodies across the volcanic floor. Their antennae read the water constantly, sensing the narrow line between nourishment and danger.
The crowd is not random. Every shrimp holds its place within a precise zone of temperature.
At the smallest scale, the shrimp harvest life from the invisible gardens growing on the rock. At the outer borders, orange squat lobsters share the same volcanic gift from a safer distance.
Below the dark plume, the shrimp occupy the cooler foothills of a chimney that is far too hot at its core.
The chimneys create sheltered corridors where the currents carry food without carrying deadly heat. Every step is measured across ground that can change from safe to deadly within a few centimeters.
Across the vent field, each source of warmth supports its own distinct colony.
The next generation begins small and vulnerable, carried by currents that can lead either to shelter or open darkness. Among the mineral walls, the smallest shrimp find sheltered spaces away from the strongest currents. Where the bacterial growth is richest, the colony gathers in flowing lines across the seafloor. Every species finds its own level in the thermal landscape, separated by degrees too small for human senses to feel.
One small basin holds an entire vertical map of survival, from the hottest seep to the cold outer stone.
The shrimp move with the current, adjusting their positions as the underwater heat changes minute by minute.
Even the underside of mineral shelves can become a feeding ground where warm currents pass through. At the base of the pale chimney, the shrimp gather where minerals and microbes are carried into cooler water.
In the darkness, touch and chemistry matter more than sight. The colony is divided by the shape of the lava itself, following every crack that carries warmth upward.
As they grow, the shrimp leave behind fragile shells, brief traces of life in a world that is always changing. When the currents strengthen, the crevices of old lava offer a refuge from the restless water. At the outer boundary, larger visitors patrol the currents that carry life away from the vents. In the open, the shrimp remain alert, but the warmth below draws them back again and again. Beyond the heat, silent hunters explore the edges of the same chemical world. The architecture of the vents gives the small animals 1,000 places to hide, gather, and begin again. Different crustaceans share the same mineral gardens, each taking advantage of a slightly different current. At the cooler edge, the shrimp community blends into the dark shellfish beds of the wider vent field. Seen from above, every warm crack becomes the center of a carefully layered living map. The colony depends on the smallest living layers, feeding where the chemistry is most concentrated. From afar, the shrimp fields glow pale against the volcanic darkness, like islands of life in an endless night. When the water changes, the entire colony moves, following the warmth that makes life possible. Against the scale of the chimneys, each shrimp seems small, yet together they define the living heart of the vents. Even the remains of a dead chimney can support new life when warmth continues to leak through the stone. The shrimp use every surface touched by the right current, even the hidden ceilings beneath mineral shelves. In the crystal maze around the vent, the smallest animals find both food and protection. Around the pale towers, the shrimp colony lives beneath a sky of drifting lights. The vent community does not end at the rock. Its energy rises into the darkness above. Even fish that never touch the warm stone depend on the life rising from the shrimp fields below. The boundary is crowded because it is precious, one of the few places where heat and life remain in balance. A short journey through the current can carry one shrimp from harsh heat into the calm of the outer vent field. The colonies are separated by stone, yet connected by the same hidden plumbing of heat beneath the seafloor. Along the warm channels, the transparent shrimp form living bridges between separate islands of chemical energy. In the crowded colony, touch becomes another language, guiding movement through a world without light. As new mineral ground rises, the colony expands upward, claiming fresh surfaces as they cool. A young chimney does not remain empty for long. The first shrimp arrive as soon as the water creates a survivable edge. When a vent falls silent, the colony changes, but life remains, adapting to the slower currents of the old tower. The shrimp kingdom is only one layer in a vast city of vents, minerals, and life without sunlight. Two creatures share the same garden, divided not by walls, but by the subtle temperature of the water. From a single warm crack, a kingdom of small survivors has formed in the deepest darkness of the sea. When the flow becomes richer, the colony responds almost immediately, gathering where new food begins to grow. The shrimp move between neighboring seeps, following the changing pathways of heat through the volcanic stone. From the warm ceiling to the cool outer ledges, each layer of stone holds a different community. The shrimp live within a constant snowfall of minerals, building their lives on ground that is still being made. Beyond the pale shrimp fields, a brighter crustacean world is waiting along the mineral ridges. The heat creates many communities, each painted in a different color and shaped by a different current. Across the valley, the pale colonies mark every place where the hidden heart of the volcano touches the sea. In this endless darkness,
one small shrimp survives by following a warmth older than the ocean itself. The pale kingdom of the shrimp now gives way to another vivid society, growing beside the same volcanic heat. Where heat meets water, the smallest creatures build kingdoms in the dark. Beyond the pale shrimp fields, another crustacean society thrives, where the water has cooled just enough to be safe. On the iron-rich ridges, orange squat lobsters turn the darkness into a field of color. Its antennae explore the water before every step, searching for food and sensing the changing currents. Only a few degrees separate the shrimp from the squat lobsters, yet that narrow difference divides their worlds. The white crabs wear the colors of the mineral ground, blending into a landscape shaped by heat and stone. At the edge of the seep, every movement is slow and deliberate, in water that is never entirely still. The gentler white plumes build terraces where the lobsters gather in the warm mineral flow. The mineral terraces form winding corridors, sheltering small communities from the strongest currents. From the edge of the ridge, it tests the water where cold ocean and volcanic warmth meet. Across the vent field, every cool mineral ridge becomes a new neighborhood for the orange crustaceans. In the crowded mineral terraces, touch becomes a quiet language in the darkness. Even a fallen chimney becomes a multi-level refuge, filled with life adapted to different currents. The crabs climb the mineral walls, following routes that keep them close to food and far from the hottest flows. Among the crystals, the smallest squat lobsters find shelter before they are ready for the open terraces. One mineral mound can support several communities, each arranged around a different level of heat. The seafloor glows with iron-rich color, alive with crustaceans moving through the mineral landscape. Along the mineral shelves, the lobsters feed on the living films and drifting particles carried by the warm water. At the outer edge of the warm flows, the lobster colonies blend into the shellfish beds of colder water. Up the volcanic wall, every change in temperature creates a new level of life. When the mineral current strengthens, the crabs retreat beneath the ledges carved by older vents. Where the chimneys have gone quiet, the crustaceans inherit the ruins and turn them into new homes. The ruins hold the colors of old heat, preserving a mineral memory long after the plume has faded. Against the iron-red stone, the crab appears almost luminous in the dark water. Beneath the arches, the lobsters find calm water and shelter from the shifting currents outside. The mineral terraces become stepping stones from the shrimp fields to the towering chimneys above. Against the dark volcanic stone, even the smallest glow from the open water feels like a distant star. From the base to the summit, each level of the tower holds life suited to a different current. The yeti crab holds its place on a narrow ledge, close to the energy but never inside the hottest flow. One warm seep supports a whole community, arranged by the invisible contours of temperature and chemistry. In the lobster colony, every body is surrounded by antennae, sensing the movements of water and neighbors alike. The youngest lobsters begin life among crystal walls, hidden from stronger currents and larger animals. Within the crowded vent city, narrow mineral crevices offer the youngest animals a chance to grow unseen. From above, the orange colonies reveal the cooler pathways that weave through the volcanic city. When the current shifts, the crabs brace themselves against a landscape that is never completely stable.
As fresh mineral ground forms, the lobsters gradually expand into newly available territory. The vent field is always building new ground, and the lobster colonies are ready to claim it when it cools. On the newest shelves, the colonists arrive before the mineral surface has fully settled into the landscape. Larger visitors patrol the colony's outer edge, feeding on the life carried away by the currents. The mineral city offers countless hiding places, and the lobsters know every shadowed passage.
They share the same ridge, yet live in different worlds, divided by only a narrow current of warmth. Across the plateau, the crustacean communities reveal the complex order of life around the vents.
In water thick with minerals, even the antennae must be kept clear to read the world around them. Farther from the heat, the orange terraces fade into another dense community, rooted in the cooler mineral flow. At the cool edge of the terraces, shellfish beds create a labyrinth of shelter and food for the smaller crustaceans. The dark shells form bridges across the cooler seafloor, linking one mineral patch to the next. Beyond the warmest ground, the crustaceans enter a denser world of shells, crevices, and cooler currents. The bright world of the crustaceans now leads toward the dark shellfish fields of the outer vents. For the white crabs, the shellfish beds offer a cooler refuge beyond the mineral terraces. Within the shellfish maze, every gap becomes a sheltered route through the outer vent community. As the heat weakens, the community changes layer by layer, but the old chimney remains full of life. The smallest passages through the shellfish beds become corridors, linking one living zone to another. At the cooler margins, the vent city becomes a vast living bed of shells, crustaceans, and slow-moving travelers. The orange colonies mark the path from the warm heart of the vents to the wider shellfish plains beyond. In a world without sunlight, this small crustacean carries the color of the fire that shaped its home. Ahead, the dark shells of the outer vents hold another community, shaped by the same hidden energy.
The mineral terraces fall behind us, and the city opens into a dark forest of shells.
Leaving the warm shell fields below, we rise into a cooler world built on the ancient walls of the volcano. Here, the heat of the vents fades, replaced by cold currents flowing across volcanic stone. Each anemone opens into the current, waiting for food carried through the darkness.
On the cooler walls, life follows the currents rather than the heat below.
The slightest current delivers a constant rain of food to these patient hunters of the deep.
Above the shell forests, the volcanic ridge becomes a meadow of waving tentacles. The cracks of old lava now guide cold currents through living corridors of color.
Soft corals turn the flow of water into food, opening thousands of tiny mouths toward the dark sea. Where the rock is stable and the current is strong, coral gardens take root on the volcano's oldest slopes. The wall is divided into living levels, each shaped by a slightly different current. When the water grows rougher, the anemones draw inward, protecting their delicate feeding arms. The cold water gardens grow upon the remains of eruptions and chimneys that once reshaped this valley. Even beneath the stone, the current reaches hidden ledges where small communities can grow. Each coral branch is made of countless tiny animals, all working together to capture the passing current. The volcanic wall becomes a crowded garden, offering both food and cover to animals of the deeper water. The fire below has cooled, but its mineral legacy still colors the rock beneath these gardens. Even here, far above the hottest vents, small crustaceans continue to search the volcanic stone for food. From above, the coral terraces form a bright border between the hot vent city and the open deep.
A few meters from the warm seeps, the chemistry changes, and an entirely different garden takes hold.
On every ledge, slow travelers and rooted animals share the same stream of food from the sea. The fan-shaped coral is built to meet the current, turning every passing stream into an opportunity. On the strongest current-facing walls, the corals grow in dense stands like a forest turned sideways. At close range, the Great Coral Garden reveals itself as millions of tiny hunters working in silence. An ancient flow has become an archway, and the current has turned it into a living gateway. Through the old lava passage, the mountain reveals how stone can become shelter, nursery, and garden at once. Even the broken remains of old vents can be claimed by a gentler generation of life. As the heat weakens, a chimney changes from a source of extremes into a tower of layered life. The oldest vents no longer breathe with heat, but their mineral towers remain as foundations for a cooler ecosystem. For small fish, the coral gardens provide a maze of branches and tentacles in which to disappear. The gardens do not end at the rock. Their influence extends into the open water above them. Every tentacle is a delicate net, capturing a world of food too small for the eye to notice from afar. The corals create a moving wall of branches, each one tuned to the rhythm of the cold water. The fractures left by ancient eruptions now hold the richest pockets of life on the cliff. Among the rooted gardens, mobile scavengers trace the ledges in search of fragments carried by the current. The same lava that once poured across the seafloor now provides ledges, caves, and currents for a living garden. At the entrance to the lava tunnel, the anemone waits where moving water delivers food from the open sea. Inside the old lava chamber, even the ceiling has become a garden in the flow of the deep. What seemed like a hidden cave is part of a much larger garden spreading across the volcanic wall. When the current strengthens, the coral bends but does not break, continuing to gather food from the water. As the water calms, thousands of tiny mouths open again to harvest the drifting life of the deep. The cold water gardens form a living crown around the volcanic valley below. Higher on the slope, the current grows clearer, and another kind of garden begins to appear. On the higher ledges, sponges join the anemones and corals, filtering the currents that sweep across the ridge. The higher wall is no longer just coral or anemone. It has become a complete filtering garden of the deep. Beyond the tentacle fields, pale structures rise from the rock, like delicate trees made of glass. The anemone garden ends where another ancient community begins, built for even cleaner currents. One volcanic pinnacle holds several worlds, each one shaped by the changing current from base to summit. As we climb the volcanic wall, the colors of coral give way to the pale architecture of the sponge garden. At the upper edge of the coral gardens, the current becomes clearer, colder, and filled with a different kind of life. The volcanic wall is a vertical world, carrying life from the warm vent floor to the cool currents above. For now, the coral garden holds the current in 1,000 moving arms of color and life. Even the smallest travelers use the gardens as shelter, crossing from one volcanic ledge to the next. The volcanic fractures remain the backbone of the garden, guiding currents and creating shelter for every layer of life. The ridge is no longer only a remnant of fire. It has become a living landscape shaped by the cold sea. The garden changes with every current, opening and closing in rhythm with the deep ocean around it. Higher still, the tentacle gardens begin to thin, replaced by structures even more fragile and ancient. Above the coral gardens, a pale forest waits in the colder, clearer water of the ridge. The colors of the coral garden fade gently into the pale outlines of another deep-sea world. Beyond the coral wall, the volcano reveals a garden made of delicate glass-like forms and ancient silence. From the living curtains of coral and anemones, the journey now enters the silent forests of glass beneath the sea. Leaving the warm shell fields below, we rise into a cooler world built on the ancient walls of the volcano. Here, the heat of the vents fades, replaced by cold currents flowing across volcanic stone. Each anemone opens into the current, waiting for food carried through the darkness. On the cooler walls, life follows the currents rather than the heat below.
The slightest current delivers a constant rain of food to these patient hunters of the deep. Above the shell forests, the volcanic ridge becomes a meadow of waving tentacles. The cracks of old lava now guide cold currents through living corridors of color.
Soft corals turn the flow of water into food, opening thousands of tiny mouths toward the dark sea. Where the rock is stable and the current is strong, coral gardens take root on the volcano's oldest slopes. The wall is divided into living levels, each shaped by a slightly different current. When the water grows rougher, the anemones draw inward, protecting their delicate feeding arms.
The cold water gardens grow upon the remains of eruptions and chimneys that once reshaped this valley.
Even beneath the stone, the current reaches hidden ledges where small communities can grow. Each coral branch is made of countless tiny animals, all working together to capture the passing current. The volcanic wall becomes a crowded garden, offering both food and cover to animals of the deeper water. The fire below has cooled, but its mineral legacy still colors the rock beneath these gardens. Even here, far above the hottest vents, small crustaceans continue to search the volcanic stone for food. From above, the coral terraces form a bright border between the hot vent city and the open deep. A few meters from the warm seeps, the chemistry changes, and an entirely different garden takes hold. On every ledge, slow travelers and rooted animals share the same stream of food from the sea. The fan-shaped coral is built to meet the current, turning every passing stream into an opportunity. On the strongest current-facing walls, the corals grow in dense stands like a forest turned sideways. At close range, the great coral garden reveals itself as millions of tiny hunters working in silence. An ancient flow has become an archway, and the current has turned it into a living gateway. Through the old lava passage, the mountain reveals how stone can become shelter, nursery, and garden at once.
Even the broken remains of old vents can be claimed by a gentler generation of life.
As the heat weakens, a chimney changes from a source of extremes into a tower of layered life. The oldest vents no longer breathe with heat, but their mineral towers remain as foundations for a cooler ecosystem. For small fish, the coral gardens provide a maze of branches and tentacles in which to disappear. The gardens do not end at the rock. Their influence extends into the open water above them. Every tentacle is a delicate net, capturing a world of food too small for the eye to notice from afar. The corals create a moving wall of branches, each one tuned to the rhythm of the cold water. The fractures left by ancient eruptions now hold the richest pockets of life on the cliff. Among the rooted gardens, mobile scavengers trace the ledges in search of fragments carried by the current. The same lava that once poured across the seafloor now provides ledges, caves, and currents for a living garden. At the entrance to the lava tunnel, the anemone waits where moving water delivers food from the open sea. Inside the old lava chamber, even the ceiling has become a garden in the flow of the deep. What seemed like a hidden cave is part of a much larger garden spreading across the volcanic wall. When the current strengthens, the coral bends but does not break, continuing to gather food from the water. As the water calms, thousands of tiny mouths open again to harvest the drifting life of the deep. The cold water gardens form a living crown around the volcanic valley below. Higher on the slope, the current grows clearer, and another kind of garden begins to appear. On the higher ledges, sponges join the anemones and corals, filtering the currents that sweep across the ridge. The higher wall is no longer just coral or anemone. It has become a complete filtering garden of the deep. Beyond the tentacle fields, pale structures rise from the rock, like delicate trees made of glass. The anemone garden ends where another ancient community begins, built for even cleaner currents. One volcanic pinnacle holds several worlds, each one shaped by the changing current from base to summit. As we climb the volcanic wall, the colors of coral give way to the pale architecture of the sponge garden. At the upper edge of the coral gardens, the current becomes clearer, colder, and filled with a different kind of life. The volcanic wall is a vertical world, carrying life from the warm vent floor to the cool currents above. For now, the coral garden holds the current in 1,000 moving arms of color and life. Even the smallest travelers use the gardens as shelter, crossing from one volcanic ledge to the next. The volcanic fractures remain the backbone of the garden, guiding currents and creating shelter for every layer of life. The ridge is no longer only a remnant of fire. It has become a living landscape shaped by the cold sea. The garden changes with every current, opening and closing in rhythm with the deep ocean around it. Higher still, the tentacle gardens begin to thin, replaced by structures even more fragile and ancient. Above the coral gardens, a pale forest waits in the colder, clearer water of the ridge. The colors of the coral garden fade gently into the pale outlines of another deep-sea world. Beyond the coral wall, the volcano reveals a garden made of delicate glass-like forms and ancient silence. From the living curtains of coral and anemones, the journey now enters the silent forests of glass beneath the sea. Above the coral gardens, the volcano enters a quieter realm, a forest built from the most fragile structures in the deep. On this cold volcanic plateau, glass sponges form a forest unlike any found in shallow water. Their skeletons are formed from delicate mineral threads, creating structures as fragile as they appear ancient. Each sponge rises into the current, filtering a world of microscopic food from the cold water. At close range, the sponge is a living maze, designed to let the ocean flow through its body. Far below, the coral walls still sway in the current, but here, the volcanic ridge belongs to a more silent forest. Between the sponges, the old volcanic floor becomes a quiet passage through a forest of living glass. For smaller creatures, The base of every sponge is a shelter from the open current. The sponges follow the ancient fractures of the volcano, rooting where the rock offers a stable hold and a passing current. The forest barely moves, but the water passing through it is alive with food and possibility.
Its open form faces the current, allowing the sponge to filter the drifting life of the deep.
At the edge of the coral garden, the first glass sponges mark the beginning of a colder and clearer habitat. One volcanic pinnacle holds many worlds, layered from the warm remnants below to the clear, cold current above. The sponge's mineral framework catches the light, but its true work happens in the water moving quietly through it.
Even here, the colors left by the volcano remain beneath a new generation of life. The pillow lava from ancient eruptions has become a stable foundation for the forest above it.
Among the rooted sponges, mobile creatures move slowly across the stone, following the food that settles from the current. The glass sponge forest is not empty. It shelters an entire community of slow-moving survivors. On the forest floor, sea cucumbers gather what the current has allowed to settle. Even the smallest fragments of food become valuable in the cold darkness of the upper ridge. From above, the sponge forest appears like a pale city built across the summit of an ancient submarine mountain. For some fish, the open chambers of the largest sponges provide a brief refuge from the current outside. From within the sponge, the forest becomes a world of pale shapes, moving gently through the blue. At the mouth of an old lava tunnel, the sponge forest reaches into the open current above the darkness. The forest bends with the water, but remains anchored to the stone laid down by fire long ago. Within the sponge's open framework, tiny animals find a sheltered passage through the current. At the boundary of the forest, glass sponges share the wall with other cold water filter feeders. The higher ridge marks the transition from the colorful coral terraces below to a pale forest of glass above. Alone on the ridge, the sponge rises toward a water column filled with distant, drifting lights. Above the forest, the current carries invisible food from the vast ocean beyond the ridge. The fish move through the sponge forest as if through a maze, using its pale towers as cover in the open deep. Every level of the forest offers a different refuge, from the rock beneath to the open sponge chambers above. At the edge of the canyon, the forest overlooks the vast volcanic valley that gave it a place to grow. The columns of old lava create small pockets of calm water where new sponge clusters can take hold. Among the roots of the glass forest, small scavengers gather what the water leaves behind. The forest floor is crossed by sea stars, patient travelers in a landscape shaped by ancient fire. Here, the sponge forest supports a slower community, where every movement is measured against the cold current. From above, the forest becomes a pale map across the dark skin of the volcano. The rooted sponges and moving stars share the same current, each taking what it can from the water around them.
A collapsed lava tunnel becomes a quiet basin, transforming a remnant of eruption into a shelter for the deep.
Inside the basin, the current slows, and the forest floor becomes a calmer world of sediment and slow-moving life. Even on stone marked by old volcanic minerals, the glass sponge finds a place to rise into the current. The silent chimney has become part of the forest, its rough mineral walls now supporting a gentler kind of life.
Like a line of ancient sentinels, the sponges stand where the ridge meets the strongest current. When the current strengthens, the forest becomes a living filter, catching the food carried across the ridge.
For the smaller fish, the sponge forest offers cover without blocking the flow of food around them. Above the forest, drifting lights continue across the open water, connecting this ridge to the wider, deep ocean.
In the clear upper water, the glass forest stands between the dark volcano below and the endless ocean above.
From the hydrothermal valley to this cold ridge, the volcano supports a complete vertical world of life. The forest is always gathering the ocean's drifting gifts, one tiny particle at a time. At the base of the pale towers, sea stars gather where food settles into the volcanic gravel. The forest floor is alive with patient travelers, each following the slow delivery of food through the cold current. The sponge forest shelters a slow-moving community, built around the quiet wealth of food falling from the water above. Beyond the densest forest, the rooted towers thin out, and the slow travelers of the seafloor take over.
At the edge of the forest, movement becomes slower, quieter, and closer to the stone itself.
The glass forest ends gradually, opening onto a volcanic plain where the next community waits in silence.
Behind us, the pale towers hold the current. Ahead, the volcanic floor belongs to creatures that travel without haste. Beyond the living glass, the volcano reveals another world, one shaped by patience, currents, and the slow rhythm of the seafloor. From the silent forests of glass, the journey now descends to the patient creatures that roam the volcanic floor.
Inside the old lava tunnels, a master of camouflage waits among the shadows of an ancient eruption. In a world of black stone and mineral dust, the octopus becomes part of the wall itself.
Its skin changes in seconds, copying the color and texture of the volcanic rock around it.
Every arm explores a different path, reading the hidden shape of the cave through touch.
With thousands of sensitive suckers, the octopus can feel the smallest crevice in the old lava. The lava chamber was once filled with fire. Now it has become a silent hunting ground beneath the sea. Where the stone changes color, the octopus changes with it, vanishing again beneath the overhang.
In the darkness, stillness is the octopus's greatest disguise. Its eye watches the water beyond the cave, alert to every movement carried by the current.
The blue-ringed octopus shares this old volcanic basin with slower creatures that have made the ruins their home. The octopus does not simply hide beside the stone. It becomes the stone. Even the smallest drifting animals pass through the hidden passages of the lava caves.
The tunnel narrows, guiding the octopus through a maze carved by molten rock long ago.
When it rests, the octopus becomes almost impossible to separate from the volcanic ground beneath it.
Every arm is both a hand and a sensor, sampling the changing water around the animal.
Across the iron-stained rock, its colors change again, echoing the mineral memory of the volcano. Within the cave's shelter, the octopus breathes slowly, conserving energy in the cold darkness.
Each arch is a frozen trace of liquid fire, now a doorway through the octopus's hidden world.
At the border between open water and shadow, every visitor must read the cave before entering. In a space too small for most animals, the octopus folds itself into the mountain's smallest secrets. As the rock changes, the octopus changes with it, returning to the color of the deeper cave. The cave is not empty darkness. It is a layered world where every surface has been claimed by life. In the caves, creatures often pass close together without disturbing the delicate balance of the hidden world.
Even the ceiling becomes a pathway for an animal able to move in any direction through the volcanic maze. The mimic octopus samples the new water, learning what has changed outside the shelter of the tunnel. Across the fractured floor, the octopus moves with a fluidity no rigid body could match. The collapsed lava floor forms a natural arena, one more remnant of the mountain's fiery past. On pale sediment, the octopus loses the darkness of the cave and becomes almost colorless once more. For a moment, the master of disguise disappears into the very floor of the ancient volcano. The passing fish never notice the hidden shape beneath them, protected by the octopus's perfect disguise. The tunnels divide again, each path leading toward a different current and a different world beyond the stone. Without a rigid skeleton, the octopus can pass through openings that seem far too small to hold it. Beyond the narrow crack, another chamber opens, one shaped by the cooling patterns of ancient lava. Against the columned walls, the octopus changes once more, copying the geometry of frozen lava. Every ridge becomes a guide beneath the suckers, revealing the shape of the cave in complete darkness. Within the hollow stone, the octopus finds a temporary refuge from the open current outside. A break in the mountain brings the distant ocean into the cave, dividing light from shadow across the volcanic floor. For a moment in the blue light, the cave's hidden resident reveals its true shape before disappearing again. Above the hidden caves, the volcanic ridge continues into the clearer world of the sponge forest. When the current shifts, the octopus returns to the stone, using the cave as both shelter and shield. Outside the cave, the water carries other drifting hunters through the open volcanic valley. From the safety of the cave, the open ocean appears vast, bright, and full of motion. For a brief moment, the octopus leaves the ancient tunnel and looks out across the volcanic world beyond. Even outside the tunnel, the volcanic landscape remains its cloak against the open water. At the cave mouth, the octopus moves between the hidden world of lava tunnels and the living gardens of the outer ridge. The slope offers countless routes, but the octopus always moves from one shadow to the next. For an instant, its full form appears against the rock. Then the volcano takes it back into camouflage. Beyond the cave, the open water begins to sparkle with lights made by life itself. The shadows of the lava cave now open onto a water column filled with drifting living light. Leaving the ancient tunnels behind, the journey rises toward a darker ocean filled with motion and light. Above the caves, another kind of traveler moves through the darkness, carrying light within its fragile body. The volcano falls away beneath us as the open water fills with delicate, drifting forms. Beneath the drifting lights, the hidden caves keep their silent guardian, concealed among the volcanic stone. Its moving rows of light turn the dark water into a silent display of color. From the ancient lava caves, the journey now enters a realm where life itself becomes the source of light. The shadows of stone give way to drifting color, opening a new world above the volcanic ridge. From the volcanic caves below, we now rise into a floating world of living light beneath the sea. Inside the old lava tunnels, a master of camouflage waits among the shadows of an ancient eruption. In a world of black stone and mineral dust, the octopus becomes part of the wall itself. Its skin changes in seconds, copying the color and texture of the volcanic rock around it. Every arm explores a different path, reading the hidden shape of the cave through touch. With thousands of sensitive suckers, the octopus can feel the smallest crevice in the old lava. The lava chamber was once filled with fire. Now it has become a silent hunting ground beneath the sea. Where the stone changes color, the octopus changes with it, vanishing again beneath the overhang. In the darkness, stillness is the octopus's greatest disguise. Its eye watches the water beyond the cave, alert to every movement carried by the current. The Hawaiian bobtail octopus shares this old volcanic basin with slower creatures that have made the ruins their home. The octopus does not simply hide beside the stone. It becomes the stone. Even the smallest drifting animals pass through the hidden passages of the lava caves. The tunnel narrows, guiding the octopus through a maze carved by molten rock long ago. When it rests, the octopus becomes almost impossible to separate from the volcanic ground beneath it. Every arm is both a hand and a sensor, sampling the changing water around the animal. Across the iron-stained rock, its colors change again, echoing the mineral memory of the volcano. Within the cave's shelter, the octopus breathes slowly, conserving energy in the cold darkness. Each arch is a frozen trace of liquid fire, now a doorway through the octopus's hidden world. At the border between open water and shadow, every visitor must read the cave before entering. In a space too small for most animals, the octopus folds itself into the mountain's smallest secrets. As the rock changes, the octopus changes with it, returning to the color of the deeper cave. The cave is not empty darkness. It is a layered world where every surface has been claimed by life. In the caves, creatures often pass close together without disturbing the delicate balance of the hidden world. Even the ceiling becomes a pathway for an animal able to move in any direction through the volcanic maze. A new current enters the chamber, carrying signals from the open ocean beyond the cave. The octopus samples the new water, learning what has changed outside the shelter of the tunnel. Across the fractured floor, the octopus moves with a fluidity no rigid body could match. The collapsed lava floor forms a natural arena, one more remnant of the mountain's fiery past. On pale sediment, the blanket octopus loses the darkness of the cave and becomes almost colorless once more. For a moment, the master of disguise disappears into the very floor of the ancient volcano. Only the eye reveals that the silent floor is watching back. The passing fish never noticed the hidden shape beneath them, protected by the octopus's perfect disguise. The tunnels divide again, each path leading toward a different current and a different world beyond the stone. Without a rigid skeleton, the octopus can pass through openings that seem far too small to hold it. Beyond the narrow crack, another chamber opens, one shaped by the cooling patterns of ancient lava. Against the columned walls, the octopus changes once more, copying the geometry of frozen lava. Every ridge becomes a guide beneath the suckers, revealing the shape of the cave in complete darkness. Within the hollow stone, the common octopus finds a temporary refuge from the open current outside. A break in the mountain brings the distant ocean into the cave, dividing light from shadow across the volcanic floor. For a moment in the blue light, the cave's hidden resident reveals its true shape before disappearing again. Above the hidden caves, the volcanic ridge continues into the clearer world of the sponge forest.
When the current shifts, the octopus returns to the stone, using the cave as both shelter and shield. Outside the cave, the water carries other drifting hunters through the open volcanic valley. From the safety of the cave, the open ocean appears vast, bright, and full of motion. For a brief moment, the octopus leaves the ancient tunnel and looks out across the volcanic world beyond. Even outside the tunnel, the volcanic landscape remains its cloak against the open water. At the cave mouth, the giant Pacific octopus moves between the hidden world of lava tunnels and the living gardens of the outer ridge. The slope offers countless routes, but the octopus always moves from one shadow to the next. For an instant, its full form appears against the rock. Then the volcano takes it back into camouflage. Across the volcanic ridge, the old lava caves remain hidden pathways for one of the ocean's greatest masters of disguise. Beyond the cave, the open water begins to sparkle with lights made by life itself. The shadows of the lava cave now open onto a water column filled with drifting, living light. Leaving the ancient tunnels behind, the journey rises toward a darker ocean filled with motion and light. Above the caves, another kind of traveler moves through the darkness, carrying light within its fragile body. The volcano falls away beneath us as the open water fills with delicate, drifting forms. Beneath the drifting lights, the hidden caves keep their silent guardian concealed among the volcanic stone. Its moving rows of light turn the dark water into a silent display of color. From the ancient lava caves, the journey now enters a realm where life itself becomes the source of light. The shadows of stone give way to drifting color, opening a new world above the volcanic ridge. From the volcanic caves below, we now rise into a floating world of living light beneath the sea. The old lava channels still guide movement, carrying fish through the landscape long after the fire has cooled. In this layer of water, food arrives slowly from above, carried downward as a gentle snowfall. Beyond the drifting lights, the open water fills with fish, carrying colors rarely seen in the deep. Above the volcano, the fish move through a colder layer of water shaped by distant currents. Some fish carry their own quiet lights, tiny signals in a world without sunlight. When the school turns, each body catches the light for only a moment before returning to shadow. Its shining body reflects the water around it, making the fish harder to see in the shifting blue. The cliff below may be old volcanic stone, but the current above it is alive with moving color. The school is never still. It stretches, gathers, and reshapes itself with every change in the water. Even at this depth, some fish carry colors that echo the ancient fire inside the mountain below. On the volcanic walls, some fish do not drift with the current. They hold their place beside the stone. The old volcanic walls create sheltered ledges where colorful fish can wait above the deeper blue. Other fish are built for the darker water, carrying their light close to the body and keeping their shape hidden. Fish and squid share the same moving current, each searching the open water in its own way. The current bends around the mountain, and the school follows the curve of the volcanic landscape. The sponge forest gives smaller fish a maze of cover above the open volcanic floor. For a moment, the hollow sponge becomes a shelter from the wider current outside. Its mirror-like body helps it vanish between the brightness above and darkness beneath. The coral-covered walls offer a different kind of refuge,
where fish can hold their place against the open water. For younger fish, every overhang and coral branch offers a brief refuge in the vast water around them. A change in the current passes through the school like a message, and every body responds at once. The fish do not travel alone. Beneath them, the drifting lights continue their slower journey through the same water. At close range, the colors are built from reflection, changing with every angle of the water. The canyon funnels the current, concentrating drifting life into a narrow blue passage above the mountain. In the darker channels, some fish are seen only as a trace of light moving through the blue. Above the old lava dome, the school turns in a slow spiral, always moving but never losing its shape. Some fish are shaped for movement through open water. Others belong to the stone and wait beside the cracks. From above, the school becomes a moving ribbon of color across the old volcanic plateau. The fish remain far above the hottest water, yet the volcano still influences the currents they follow. When the school turns as one, the deep water briefly glows with colors drawn from fire and metal. Along the cooler slopes, the fish pause where the ridge creates pockets of gentle current. The fish draw together, turning as one body through the narrowest part of the volcanic passage. A silent hunter moves beyond the haze, using the dark water beside the cliff as cover. The rocky wall breaks the school apart, then gathers it again in the next patch of open water. Along the canyon rim, the fish follow the last safe currents before the deeper hunting grounds begin. At the edge of the canyon, even a single fish must decide whether to stay close to stone or risk the open blue. Ahead, the cliffs become a hunting ground, where every shadow can hide a predator. In the shadows of the volcanic cliffs, the next chapter belongs to the hunters of the deep. The fish remain far above the hottest water, yet the volcano still influences the currents they follow. When the school turns as one, the deep water briefly glows with colors drawn from fire and metal. Along the cooler slopes, the fish pause where the ridge creates pockets of gentle current. Its mirror-like body helps it vanish between the brightness above and darkness beneath. The coral-covered walls offer a different kind of refuge, where fish can hold their place against the open water. For younger fish, every overhang and coral branch offers a brief refuge in the vast water around them. A change in the current passes through the school like a message, and every body responds at once. The fish do not travel alone. Beneath them, the drifting lights continue their slower journey through the same water. At close range, the colors are built from reflection, changing with every angle of the water. The canyon funnels the current, concentrating drifting life into a narrow blue passage above the mountain. In the darker channels, some fish are seen only as a trace of light moving through the blue. Above the old lava dome, the school turns in a slow spiral, always moving but never losing its shape. Some fish are shaped for movement through open water. Others belong to the stone and wait beside the cracks. From above, the school becomes a moving ribbon of color across the old volcanic plateau. Different fish occupy different layers, each one following the light, food, and temperature that suit its life. The old lava arch guides the fish between open water and the shelter of the volcanic wall. On the iron-stained rock, the fissures' color seems almost drawn from the minerals of the mountain itself. Near the cliff, the school draws close together. In open water, it loosens again into the current. The fish move high above the old chimney, linking the open water to the living communities on the floor below. Tiny particles in the current are enough to draw fish toward the cliffs and ridges of the mountain. The cliff redirects the current, and the fish turn with it in one sudden flowing arc. The fish are one moving layer in a much larger world built around the mountain beneath the sea. At the cliff edge, the water deepens quickly, and the school begins to travel closer to the stone. When the water changes, the smallest fish know where the volcanic wall can hide them. The fish watches the open water from the safety of the rock, where every shadow can bring a change. Away from the wall, the school becomes more exposed in the open channel between the volcanic cliffs. Far beyond the school, a larger shape crosses the blue water near the volcanic wall. The school tightens near the rock, sensing that the open water is no longer entirely empty. The volcanic outcrops offer a path of shadows, breaks, and narrow passages through the current. Where the current concentrates drifting food, the fish gather in numbers along the volcanic wall. The fish turn together, their colors flickering once before the darker water closes in behind them. In the open canyon, color and movement are impossible to hide for long. Some of the smallest fish leave the open water first, disappearing beneath the shelter of the volcanic stone. The reef wall offers shelter, but only for those quick enough to reach its cracks and branches. The canyon narrows ahead, turning the open current into a passage shaped by volcanic stone. Among the coral-covered ledges, the school breaks into smaller groups, using the garden as a maze. The fish of the wall remain close to their shelter, while the passing school carries tension through the canyon. The hunter stays beneath the ledge, letting the brighter water conceal what waits below. At the edge of the school, even one fish can sense when the water is no longer safe. The mineral haze breaks the hunter's outline, turning a large body into a shifting shadow in the current. The corridor guides the school forward, but its narrow walls make every turn more urgent. The hammerhead shark rounds the pillar without exposing its full shape to the school ahead. A sudden turn races through the group faster than any single fish could react alone. The volcanic column splits the school into two currents of movement, each searching for the safer route. The hunter chooses the shadowed path, where the volcanic wall hides its approach most completely. The fish cross open ground quickly, suspended between the shelter of one cliff and the next. Below the bridge, the hunter waits where the current hides both sound and shape. Without warning, the stillness breaks, and the canyon erupts into motion. The school fragments across the rocks, using every ledge, crevice, and change of current to escape. For the smallest fish, survival lies in cracks too narrow for the larger hunter to enter. The first burst has scattered the school, but the hunter remains close to the wall, searching for another opening. Above the cliff, the survivors regroup, where the volcanic terrace offers more paths of escape. For a moment, the fish rests beside the anemone, hidden among the movement of its pale tentacles. The hunter returns to patience, allowing the canyon itself to hide its next approach. Only a small movement beside the rock reveals that the hunter has not gone away. The coral cover ends abruptly,
forcing the school back into the open water between the cliffs.
The canyon creates two worlds at once: bright water above for the fish, deep shadow below for the hunter. A tiny disturbance in the water is enough to send warning through the edge of the school. Above the old chimney, the fish draw close together, turning a broken volcanic relic into a temporary refuge. The ruins offer the hunter the same advantage they offer the fish: a landscape of shadows and sudden cover. For a moment, the mineral plume erases the canyon, hiding both hunter and school from one another. In the shadows of the volcanic canyon, a larger hunter finally reveals itself.
Its colors match the cliff perfectly, allowing the hunter to disappear into the mountain before the chase even begins.
From the shelter of the rock, the hunter watches every movement in the blue water beyond.
The school stays close to the stone, where cracks and coral branches offer a measure of protection.
The hunter does not rush. It follows the shape of the volcano, using every ridge as cover. A subtle change in the water passes through the school, and every fish responds at once. The narrowing canyon offers the school fewer escape routes, but also more places to hide. The smallest fish disappear first, slipping into the cracks left behind by ancient lava. The arch divides the canyon into layers of shadow, turning the old lava structure into a hunting ground. With only the smallest movements, the hunter holds its place in water that never stops flowing. From the living cliffs of the hunt, we now enter the silent valley of a volcano that has long since fallen quiet. As the haze clears, the school gathers again, returning to the security of the volcanic wall. The mako shark appears for only a second, then returns to the cover of the darker water. In this canyon, every layer of the volcanic landscape creates a different opportunity to hide, escape, or hunt. The wall offers countless small shelters, but every gap between them remains exposed to the open water. The smallest crevice becomes a safe room when a shadow passes over the volcanic wall. The canyon turns beneath an old lava arch, carrying the school into a darker section of the mountain. The hunter follows the deeper side of the arch, where darkness keeps its approach hidden from above. The school changes direction around the sponge, using even the smallest structures as landmarks in the canyon. Beyond the narrow cliffs, the canyon opens into an older basin, marked by the remains of long silent eruptions. In the wider basin, the hunter loses the tight cover of the canyon and moves more cautiously among older volcanic ruins. For now, the school reaches more open ground, leaving the tightest shadows of the cliffs behind. The basin holds the scars of ancient fire, cooled lava, fallen chimneys, and valleys shaped long before the present life arrived. The chase dissolves into distance, but the hunter remains part of the mountain's silent rhythm. Outside the hunting grounds, the ancient volcano reveals quieter traces of the eruptions that built this world. The remains of old vents still shape the basin, offering shelter to a new generation of animals. Here, the mountains are quiet, but every ridge and dome preserves the memory of molten rock beneath the sea. Ahead lies a valley shaped by a volcano that has been silent for centuries beneath the ocean. The ancient basin is no longer a place of fire, but a museum of stone, mineral, and returning life. The fish continue onward, carrying the movement of the living ocean across a landscape built by the past. The hunter returns to shadow, waiting once more for the current to bring another opportunity. Beyond the cliffs,
The volcano's oldest landscapes wait in silence beneath the deep sea. The chase is over, but the journey continues into a valley where the volcano's past remains written across the floor. Beyond the cliffs of the hunt lies a valley where the volcano has fallen silent, leaving its history written across the seafloor. The basin was shaped by fire long ago, but now it rests beneath a slow snowfall of particles from the sea above. These rounded forms were once molten lava meeting cold seawater, freezing into the shapes that remain today. Where fire once flowed, a sea star now crosses the cooled stone without haste. The quiet valley is not empty. Every terrace, crack, and ledge has become part of a living landscape. The mineral colors remain as faint signatures of the heat that once moved through the mountain. Inside the old fractures, brittle stars still reach into the current for the food drifting overhead. An old lava arch has become a shelter, its broken shape now guiding life instead of molten rock. Through the hollow of the old flow, the valley opens into another chapter of the volcano's past. Even in the silent valley, the cold currents support gardens of coral, sponge, and anemone on the oldest rock. The sponge towers remain small islands of shelter above the open floor of the basin. The ridges preserve the direction of lava that once crossed this basin, like rivers beneath the sea. In the stiller sediment channels, sea cucumbers gather what the current has allowed to settle. Life here moves slowly because the valley offers no need for haste, only the steady rhythm of drifting food and cold current. What was once a channel of moving lava is now a quiet corridor for the valley's smallest travelers. The crabs follow the broken lines of the stone, using every ridge and fracture as a route through the basin. The walls of the old crater rise in layers, each one recording a different stage of the volcano's long history. From floor to rim, the silent volcano still creates different worlds across every level of its walls. The living garden grows directly above a faint mineral memory of the fire that made this wall. Seen from above, the valley reveals itself as a complete volcanic world, shaped by collapse, cooling, and time beneath the ocean. When the walls of the crater fractured, the fallen stones became a maze of shelter on the basin floor. In the broken rock, brittle stars find safety from open water and food from the passing current. The fish pass above the old lava fields, carrying movement and color through a landscape made by long-vanished heat. The ravine is a scar let by shifting rock, softened over time by cold water and returning life. Even within the old volcanic cracks, color survives in the smallest moving residents of the valley. Some old ledges still hold enough mineral-rich flow to support small shellfish communities in the quiet basin. For a snail, every shell and stone in the valley becomes part of a slow path through the deep. The valley floor is divided by the remains of lava, creating separate paths for every form of life that crosses it. The dome once held molten pressure beneath the seafloor. Now it rises quietly as a refuge above the basin. The summit gathers stronger currents, allowing a pale forest of sponges to grow above the darker floor below. The sponge rises from stone born in fire, filtering the cold current that now flows over the sleeping mountain. From the highest old lava ridge, another field of ruins becomes visible across the valley floor. Across the basin, broken mineral forms hint at another time when hot water once rose from the stone. This broken mineral shell was once part of a living vent system, built layer by layer from rising water and dissolved rock. This broken mineral shell was once part of a living vent system, built layer by layer from rising water and dissolved rock. The ruined field has become a maze, offering shelves, cracks, and sheltered corners to the animals of the basin. Though the tower no longer rises, its base still shapes the flow of water and the life that gathers around it.
At the far end of the silent valley stands a graveyard of chimneys, preserved by the cold darkness of the deep.
For the crabs, the broken chimneys are no relics. They are climbing walls, shelters, and pathways through the valley. Between the fallen towers, the water slows, creating corridors where small animals can hide from the open basin. The ruins resemble a drowned city, but every wall and tower was built by the chemistry of the earth itself. At close range, the old mineral walls are filled with small spaces where life continues long after the heat has gone. Different animals occupy different colors of the ruins, each one following its preferred edge of current and shelter. The remains of lava and the remains of chimneys are connected by the same long story of volcanic heat beneath the sea. The valley's slow travelers cross from lava stone to mineral ruin without knowing how different their origins once were. Even without hot plumes, the old towers still reshape the current flowing through the basin. The hollow towers provide shelter for fish that need only a moment of cover from the wider current.
Each layer records a changing mix of minerals from water that once rose through this hidden volcanic system.
Beyond the ruins, the old valley remains silent, holding the landscape together beneath the endless sea.
Ahead, the remains become denser, revealing a whole district built by vents that no longer breathe.
The silent crater is not a single landscape, but a mosaic of scars, shelters, and new life growing over the memory of fire. Even a broken chimney can become the foundation for a new, gentler garden in the deep.
The remnants of the past support a future that looks entirely different from the heat and chaos that created them. One tower still stands above the rubble, a final reminder of the powerful water that once rose from below.
Though its plume has vanished, the tower remains porous, offering countless small shelters within its mineral walls. The tallest ruins still shape the water above them, attracting small fish to the moving current around their edges. From top to base, the old chimney has become a vertical neighborhood for animals of the quiet basin. The silent valley now leads us deeper into a landscape built from the shattered remains of the old vent world. Here, the volcano's silent history stands broken but not forgotten across the floor of the deep.
Between the fallen towers, the past becomes a labyrinth of stone, mineral, and hidden life.
Beyond the quiet valley lies a graveyard of mineral towers, where the remains of ancient vents have become a new city of life. Beyond the silent crater valley, the remains of ancient vents stand broken across the floor of the deep.
Once, hot water built towering chimneys here. Now their ruins form a mineral city reclaimed by life. Every broken wall reveals the layers of minerals once carried upward from beneath the seafloor.
Where hot water once surged through the tower, quiet currents now pass through empty mineral chambers. To the crab, this broken tower is not a relic. It is a wall, a shelter, and a path through the valley. Across the mineral ruins, each color of rock supports a different gathering of crustaceans. At the base of the ruins, dark shellfish beds turn the mineral debris into a forest of living shells. The smallest residents use cracks no wider than their own bodies to disappear into the mineral maze. The towers have fallen, but their broken shapes still change the current and create shelter on the seabed. Inside the fallen tower, different communities occupy different sides of the same ancient structure. The walls of the chimney are still full of small spaces where hidden life can survive. The field resembles a city of stone, but every tower was built slowly by water, mineral, and volcanic heat. For small fish, the hollow ruins offer a brief refuge from the open current beyond the towers. Its antennae read the water around the ruins, tracing currents too gentle for the eye to see. Where heat has faded, delicate sponges rise above the ruins and filter the cold water passing through them. The old vent world has softened into a garden where anemones and corals now claim the mineral stone. The slow travelers of the seafloor cross the ruins without knowing the violent forces that first raised them from the stone. In the shadow of the broken tower, the brittle star turns passing water into food. For the smallest travelers, every fallen fragment becomes part of a vast and intricate landscape. Across the old basin, the ruins form a map of where the volcano once breathed through the seafloor. In the calmer spaces between the ruins, sediment settles and a slower community takes root. The smallest crabs begin their lives in protected cracks beneath the ancient mineral walls. The tallest fragments still shape the water above them, drawing fish toward their moving edges. The tallest fragments still shape the water above them, drawing fish toward their moving edges. Against the pale mineral surface, the shrimp becomes almost invisible within the quiet interior of the ruin. The fallen towers create corridors where the open ocean narrows into mineral passages and shadowed shelter. Within one broken corridor, the colors of iron, sulfur, and pale minerals remain preserved in the old chimney walls. The colors of the ruins are not decoration. They are the chemical memory of water that once surged through the tower. The same tower that once released extremes now supports life that depends on calm, cold water. When the chimney collapsed, it left a hollow mineral bowl where sediment and life now gather together. At the rim of the old tower, the lobster tests the quiet basin that formed after the collapse. Some fractures remain deep and dark, preserving hidden roots through the old mineral structures. Inside the fractures, the ruins become an underground landscape of narrow chambers and slow currents. The quiet ruins create stable ground where glass sponges can grow into the passing current. Where the mineral walls reach into clearer water, soft corals turn the ruins into living gardens once more. From base to summit, the broken tower has become a layered neighborhood for many different kinds of life. The hollow towers give small fish a place to retreat before the current carries them onward again. Even broken, a standing chimney still changes the flow of water across the basin and creates its own small world. As the water strengthens around the tower, the crab grips the mineral wall and waits for the flow to pass. Farther from the tallest ruins, the mineral city loosens into scattered fragments across the quiet volcanic floor. The ruins slowly dissolve into the broader volcanic landscape, where only the oldest stone remains. Each exposed layer tells part of the tower's history, recording shifts in heat, minerals, and time. The towers still guide the water, even though the heat that built them has disappeared long ago. The animals on the ruins are shaped by the direction of the water, each opening toward the flow that sustains it. The hollow towers offer hidden passages even for the masters of camouflage that move through the ruins unseen. The ruins hold many lives at once, each one using a different layer of the same ancient structure. As the towers continue to weather, their fragments become new ground for the slow communities of the seafloor. Above the ruins, fish follow currents that have been redirected by the broken towers below. Lava and mineral chimneys were born from the same volcano, yet time has turned them into very different worlds. Even on the oldest mineral stone, new living films can begin wherever the water still carries the right chemistry. Where a new living film appears, the first small grazers soon follow through the ruins. The ruins are not frozen in time. In small patches, a new cycle of life is already beginning. In the smallest cracks, the next community begins before the wider valley even seems to notice. The volcano may be quiet, but faint mineral currents still move through parts of the old seafloor. Beyond the ruins, the valley begins to reveal subtle signs that the story of volcanic life is not yet finished. The broken towers tell the story of the past. The pale living films ahead point toward the future. A trace of warmth is enough to change the chemistry of the rock and invite life back to the ruins. Across the seafloor, the past and future of the volcano exist side by side in the same silent valley. Even the smallest animals move between the ruins of old heat and the first signs of new life. Leaving the graveyard of towers behind, we enter a place where the volcano's quiet energy begins to build life once again. From the shattered towers of the past, the volcano begins to create a new living world in the darkness below. Beyond the ruins of the old vents, the quiet volcano is beginning to build life again from the smallest signs of chemistry. The old chimney field remains behind, but ahead, a younger community is taking shape close to the seafloor. The first architects of renewal are almost invisible, turning the chemistry of the stone into a living surface. Where the living films appear, the first small grazers arrive to explore the new ground. For the slowest travelers, the pale mats become new paths across a landscape once buried beneath volcanic rubble. The volcano is quiet, but deep beneath the stone, a trace of warmth still changes the water above it. From above, the first living patches form a new map across the dark volcanic floor. Each color marks a slight change in the water, and each change creates another opportunity for life. At the outer edge of the new seep, orange squat lobsters return where the water is cooler and more stable. The white crabs occupy the cooler boundary, where the new mineral flow fades into the broader volcanic plain. As the new current settles into a steady pattern, shellfish begin to anchor themselves along the cooler rock. On the newest stable surfaces, the first shells settle and begin another cycle of growth. Where the rock gives way to sediment, clams settle into softer ground, touched by the same hidden chemistry. Across only a few meters, the new seep creates several worlds, each arranged around a different degree of warmth. The new life follows the invisible roots of water rising through the old volcanic fractures. Even the smallest drifting animals find shelter and food where the microbial films begin to spread. The seafloor becomes a landscape of white, gold, and rust, shaped by the chemistry beneath the mountain. Beyond the warmest ground, the slower animals of the open seafloor begin to return to the renewing terrace. The brittle stars gather what the new current carries, linking the quiet rock community to the changing seep below. Behind us stands the memory of old vents. Ahead, a new community rises from their quiet legacy. The fresh mineral surface becomes a foundation before the larger animals ever arrive. The shrimp reads the boundary between warm and cold water with its antennae, staying close to the growing film. As the film thickens, the shrimp gather in greater numbers around the new mineral flow. Within the colony, touch and current matter more than sight in the darkness of the new seep. Among the newest crystals, the smallest crustaceans find protected places to grow beyond the strongest flow. At the outer boundary, the shellfish beds begin to thicken,
turning bare rock into another layer of shelter. As the shell bed grows, the new community gains countless narrow passages, shelters, and feeding surfaces. In softer ground beside the ridge, clams settle where the invisible mineral flow reaches the sediment. Around each low seep, life finds its place along invisible rings of heat, chemistry, and current. The path from ruin to renewal is only a few meters long, but it spans generations of volcanic change. Even the crabs move between the old mineral city and the first terraces of a new one. At the outer edge of the rebuilding community, the first filter feeders rise into the clearer current. As the current spreads beyond the warm cracks, anemones and corals begin to claim the higher stone. In time, one quiet seep becomes an entire living district, layered from the warm stone to the clear water above. The new seep feeds more than the creatures at its center. Its influence reaches upward across the volcanic wall. The young community uses every ledge and overhang, turning volcanic structure into protection from the changing current. From above, the recovering seafloor looks less like Earth and more like a landscape from another world. At the smallest scale, the rebuilding seafloor is already crowded with movement, shelter, and food. As the community grows, fish from the surrounding water begin to visit the new living ground below. The rebuilding habitat links the volcanic floor to the open water above through a chain of feeding and movement. Even visitors from the volcanic caves pass quietly along the edges of the growing community. The old fractures still guide the new life, connecting the past volcano to the present seafloor. The current is too gentle to see from afar, yet it carries enough energy to build an entire food web. The quiet volcano has built another city of life, not from sudden eruption, but from persistence beneath the sea. In the smallest shelters, a new generation grows close to the chemistry that sustains it. Every subtle shift in color changes the community, creating new routes for the animals that depend on the living mats. The water carries food, chemistry, and movement through every level of the new volcanic community. The smallest mineral ridges are enough to alter the flow, creating new ground for the next wave of colonists. The hidden energy remains small, but beneath the ocean, small changes can support extraordinary life. One seep becomes several, and the rebuilding community begins to stretch across the sleeping volcano. From the orange terraces to the pale shrimp fields, the colors of life follow the hidden gradients of the water. What began as a thin living film has become a complete neighborhood beneath the sea. Life does not return in one form alone. It rises layer by layer from the stone into the water above. From above, the quiet energy of the volcano reveals a landscape of life almost impossible to imagine from the surface. The recovering seafloor appears alien, yet every color and movement belongs to a living system here on Earth. In the darkness beneath the ocean, the volcano creates a world so strange that it feels like another planet. In the darkness beneath the ocean, the volcano has rebuilt a world that seems almost impossible to belong to Earth. From above, the recovering seafloor looks less like a familiar ocean floor and more like a landscape from another world. At the smallest scale, the volcanic floor becomes a landscape of living chemistry, built grain by grain from stone and water. The shrimp move across a world powered not by sunlight, but by the hidden chemistry of the mountain beneath them. Every color marks a different condition of water, and every condition creates its own community of survivors. The colors are not painted on the stone. They are the visible record of water changing as it rises through the volcano. For the smallest travelers, every mineral ridge is a mountain, every crack a canyon, and every current a journey. One quiet seep can support a complete city, arranged around invisible boundaries of heat and mineral flow. The cracks beneath the seafloor form hidden roots, carrying the energy that connects every living patch in the valley. The mineral crystals become foundations for miniature forests of life, hidden from view in the deep. Only a short distance separates shellfish in sediment from shellfish on stone, yet each depends on a different version of the same hidden flow. The ancient lava blocks divide the seafloor into hidden streets, each one claimed by a different form of life. Above the mineral terrain, the anemones turn clear cold current into food with patient, silent precision. The volcanic landscape rises in layers, carrying life from warm mineral ground to the colder waters above. Each meter upward changes the current, and each change reveals another version of life on the same mountain. The sponge appears fragile, yet it stands where the cold current is strongest, filtering the deep ocean one particle at a time. From a distance, the ridge looks like a single mountain. Up close, it is a chain of entire worlds stacked one above another. On the quieter ground beyond the seeps, survival becomes a slower rhythm of gathering, waiting, and moving with the current. The shapes of cooled lava still control where life can hide, feed, and cross the open floor of the basin. An old river of lava has become an archway, transforming a remnant of eruption into a shelter for life. Inside the old lava chambers, the mountain preserves a quieter kind of mystery beneath the ocean floor. Among the volcanic shadows, the octopus becomes almost indistinguishable from the stone that surrounds it. Even the blue-ringed octopus carries the colors of the volcanic world across its skin as it moves from one mineral surface to another. From the dark interior of the lava cave, the outer ridge appears like a distant garden suspended in blue water. The comb jelly turns movement into color, carrying a quiet rainbow through water without sunlight. Above the mountain, the ocean becomes a second landscape, built not from rock, but from drifting life and light. In this dark layer of water, the smallest flashes can reveal life that would otherwise remain completely unseen. The living light draws larger travelers into the water above the volcano, where fish move through a floating world of food and color. The fish move above the volcano, but the energy of the mountains still reaches them through the currents they follow. Even in open water, the shape of the volcano guides movement, bending currents and gathering fish around its highest ridges. Some fish belong to the moving water. Others belong to the stone, holding their place along the ancient cliff. Against the dark basalt, the fish becomes a bright point of color in a world shaped by shadow and mineral stone. What appears to be one mountain beneath the sea is in fact a complete planet-sized world of habitats layered through rock and water. The journey through the water column always leads back to the stone, where the deepest energy of the mountain is hidden. In the darkness, touch becomes a map. Every antenna reads the water, the stone, and the presence of nearby life. The newest life grows beside the oldest ruins, making the volcanic valley a place where past and future exist together. The channel appears like a river of light across black stone, yet every glow comes from minerals and life beneath the sea. Nearly transparent in the dark, the shrimp seems less like an animal than a fragment of the water itself. The seafloor's colors and shapes create a landscape so unfamiliar that it feels like a distant world hidden beneath our own ocean. The mineral structures create rooms, bridges, and corridors where many different species can live only centimeters apart. The crab lives at the boundary, close enough to benefit from the mineral flow, but far enough from its strongest heat. The same forces that build mountains on land have created an unseen valley beneath the sea, rich with color and life. The volcano does not only create harsh places. On its cooler walls, it also creates gardens of extraordinary delicacy.
The coral feeds on the same current that carries mineral traces away from the volcanic valley below.
Nothing in this valley lives alone.
Every current, crack, ledge, and mineral trace connects one community to another. At the edge of the living field, the warm chemistry fades, and the ordinary deep ocean slowly returns. Beyond the last warm seam, the strange bright world gives way again to darkness and stone. Within one hidden basin, the ocean has created a complete world of color, chemistry, shadow, and life. But beyond the renewed valley, the deeper mountain still holds the force that created every landscape we have seen. The bright communities live on the surface, but far below them, the mountain remains connected to the fire within the earth. Deep beneath the cooled surface, a faint pulse of heat reminds us that the volcano is never truly still. The hidden fire and the fragile life above it are part of one continuous story beneath the ocean. From the deepest cracks to the drifting lights above, every layer of the ocean carries the influence of the mountain beneath it. Above the buried heat, one small comb jelly carries a rainbow through the darkness of the deep. This hidden world may look alien, but it is a living expression of our own planet's deepest power. Every mineral tower, every coral branch, and every drifting creature, such as a graceful manta ray or a fleet